Hey, what is up, guys? Apparently you could hear me talking, so we had a live mic. A good thing I didn't say anything too abrasive. But this is the pre-party with your boy Jay Cal, and we are talking NWA and a couple other things. I got some exclusives today, so I'm glad you're here. Get your beverage of choice, get a snack, and let's talk NWA at the pre-party. All right, now if I could only do this more seamless, that would be pretty awesome. But here we go. Hey guys. So what a wonderful week for the NWA. If you are a fan of professional wrestling, you're a fan of the National Wrestling Alliance, you are in the right place. Thank you so much for tuning in. Of course, your patronage, your support, your retweets, your follows, your likes, your hearts, your thumbs up, all of those things are greatly appreciated. And we are here to talk NWA. Hashtag talk NWA if you're in the chat. And this week, Ring of Honor stooping to new lows. Yeah, I'm going to say it. Ring of Honor stooping to new lows. I'm going to say clickbait Ring of Honor. Absolutely clickbait Ring of Honor. Because Ring of Honor, as you can see here, here, as you can see to my immediate left, you will see the Ring of Honor week by week, an advertisement, a podcast, a weekly show that's giving updates on Ring of Honor. But who's on the cover there? Our World's Heavyweight Champion, the real World's Champion, Mr. Nick Aldis, the National Treasure, the CEO of Strictly Business. I mean, head of the class, the Aldis Crusade, whatever you want to call him, the dealer included. Ring of Honor is using his likeness to sell their podcast, to sell their rhetoric, to sell their hyperbole, to sell their propaganda. I don't know if you really want to call it propaganda. I'm just being silly with that. But obviously they did use Nick Aldis for a segment, for the introduction, if you will, the beginning of the show, where Nick Aldis stated that Strictly Business and Villain Enterprises is not over, that he's still pursuing Marty Scurll, and when Ring of Honor returns, that matchup will happen. Which is surprising to me, is that the matchup, saying that it will happen, almost implying that maybe it doesn't happen in the NWA. Maybe it happens in ROH. I mean, I don't want to try to stir the tea leaves or anything like that, but clearly, things could be happening that we're completely unaware of. Now, speaking of the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, Nick Aldis, he recently celebrated 600 days as your World's Heavyweight Champion. Now, that in and of itself is a feat. Not too many people hold on to precious championship belts the way that Nick Aldis has been able to sweeten up Sweet Charlotte, if you will, to connect himself to the 10 pounds of gold. I mean, there was really just about a month in the last 2 years that he wasn't champion. You know, he defeated Tim Storm in CZW on December 9th, 2017. And outside of the time between All In and the time between the NWA 70th anniversary show, well, that's really the only time in the last 3 years he wasn't champion, or 2 years. So I want to celebrate the champion, but I also have to say, I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy, because I know that no other World's Heavyweight Champion has had to deal with this. In the 72 years of the National Wrestling Alliance, since 1948, there has never been a World's Heavyweight Champion that has had to deal with a global pandemic. Not to this magnitude. And wrestling around the world has kind of, come to a halt unless you're WWE or AEW.
You need the stakes to be high. Because if you're going to be the best you can be, you need to have everything to lose.
Guys, but sometimes you just
It's up to you.
So Nick Aldis, who's held that title for, like I said, 600 plus days, that's an amazing feat. But we also have to be realistic and look at the fact that Nick Aldis hasn't defended that title since January 24th. Now, I know there were matches set for middle of March before the pandemic, but even then, that's almost a month and a half without any title defenses, which is not the norm for our world's heavyweight champion. This is the man who took the title to the UK and has defended that belt an unprecedented amount of times in the United Kingdom. Now, before anyone says anything about, well, he's from the UK, big deal. Big deal. Blue Demon Jr. was Mexican. He didn't have that many defenses of the NWA World Heavyweight Championship in Mexico. He just didn't. Of the last 5 NWA World Champions, no one has defended that title more across the globe. No one has defended that title more than Nick Aldis. And I really think he should be celebrated, but I do think that there should be some sort of asterisk next to that name, because 600 days is great when 90 of them were sitting in shelter and stay. Now, that's not to say that Nick Aldis isn't a great world's heavyweight champion, because I'll be the first one to tell you I'm a part of that Aldis crusade. What he's done with that title, 4 continents, right? Defending that title for the first time in the People's Republic of China, a feat that Harley Race couldn't do, a feat that Sting couldn't do, a feat that Ric Flair couldn't do, and the names go on and on and on and on and on. Hey, Lamb. The point I'm trying to make is it's clear to me that our world's heavyweight champion is someone who has definitely defined an era. And he's only in his 600 days into his championship. He's defined an era based on the work that he's done with the 10 pounds of gold and the work that he's done with the NWA Power. But we have to call it is what it is, and that, he's been sitting at home. No, don't get me wrong, it's not his choice. I bet you if you ask Nick right now, he would have loved to be wrestling against Carlito in the Puerto Rico. Or I'm sure he'd love to take that title to South America or anywhere, really, to defend that belt. And I'm sure he's just waiting for the opportunity, chomping at the bit, if you will. And I know wrestling is starting to come back, but needless to say, it's not here yet. And I think that is part of the problem. Now, big news out of Hollywood, California. Well, slightly north and west of Hollywood, California. Big news out of Port Hueneme, California, home of Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. As we reported at alliance-wrestling.com, that the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood group planned to go back into production around mid-July. Now, that is certainly something to celebrate. As fans of pro wrestling, that's basically saying that we're almost back to some sort of normalcy. Now, again, I have to stress this. It's going to be a different animal. David Marquez routinely says that this is going to be different, guys. It's not just a business as usual. There will be social distancing. There will be checks at the door. There will be, I'm sure they'll be preferring the fans in attendance to wear masks. Because, again, they're looking out for the safety of the people who are at the event, the fans in attendance, but also the employees, the wrestlers, the workers, the staff, the cameramen, the announcers, the production team. Everybody is trying to stay safe from what's going on. So there will be some deviations from what's normal. But with that being said, there was television taping going on this past weekend. This is our secret, ladies and gentlemen, Do not share this with your friends. Do not put this on the interwebs, for this could probably get me in some hot water. I might get in trouble for saying this. The Championship Wrestling from Hollywood production team were busy on Saturday. They were back in business. Now, the Ocean View Pavilion, which has been home to pretty much, former World Heavyweight Champions and current World Heavyweight Champions, both top and bottom. I mean, that's the arena where Adam Pearce and Colt Cabana wrestled for the last time. That is the arena
to be able to say that after all this time
that Tim Storm was introduced to the world.
That's big. That's big for me.
Cody Rhodes was there to meet and greet with the audience to showcase that title. Nick Aldis has defended that belt multiple times in Hollywood. Impact Wrestling has held events at that Ocean View Pavilion. What if I told you there was another wrestling promotion located in Southern California that used those facilities for New Japan Pro Wrestling featured talent in that Ocean View Pavilion? What if I'm telling you that New Japan USA or the Lion's Den had wrestling at the Ocean View Pavilion? Would that blow your mind? Because it blew mine. Carl Fredericks, the man you see on the screen right now. Jeff Cobb. TJ Perkins, Rocky Romero. A slew of others. Talents from Ring of Honor. Talents from Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. All converging in the Ocean View Pavilion in Port Hueneme, California. I don't know about you guys, but I think that's a big, 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 big deal. I think that's huge. What does that mean? It means that, well, number one, wrestling is returning, which I think is great because we're all ready for some more live wrestling action. Even if it's just televised, I'm ready to see more wrestling. But number two, if New Japan Pro Wrestling is working with Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, imagine that there's possibilities to see more promotions coming to the Ocean View Pavilion, filming television. I don't know, maybe NWA Power. Maybe NWA Power doesn't return to the Ocean or debut at the Ocean View Pavilion, but maybe Nick Aldis defends his 10 pounds of gold in Port Hueneme. Maybe we'll see Aaron Stevens, the shooter, defend that national championship in Hollywood. I mean, at this point, who wouldn't want to see Thunder Rosa defend her World's Women's Championship, or Eli Drake and James Storm defending the tag titles? I guess what I'm saying, folks, is if Port Hueneme is open, if the Ocean View Pavilion is open, then why not have the NWA defend its titles in Port Hueneme? And if we're getting, if we're getting hopeful and wishful and whimsical, why not have just, some New Japan Pro Wrestling talent, New Japan Pro Wrestling USA, work with some of these NWA champions? I mean, could you guys get behind Carl Fredericks challenging Aaron Stevens for that national championship? What about Jeff Cobb challenging our world's heavyweight champion, Nick Aldis? What if Zicky Dice just showed up and licked something? I mean, as long as it's not mayonnaise? Whatever it is, the idea that pro wrestling could be back is very, very appealing to me, the consumer. Much like you, the consumer. And I have to admit that without wrestling, things have been kind of boring. I mean, look, guys, I don't mind talking about Carnyland. I don't. We could talk about Carnyland all day. We really can. But, I mean, okay, so you want to talk about who's running for mayor of Carnyland? Let's be honest, Carnyland is a distraction. These are tough, tough times. It's not pro wrestling. It's mildly entertaining. And I know that's not going to help me out with my accolades of trying to be a part of this NWA family, but some parts are great. Carnyland. Some parts are cringeworthy, and I can't wait till they're over. I do believe the new offerings from the National Wrestling Alliance are getting really, really good. Now I'm seeing your guys' comments pop up on my screen, and that's awesome. But like I said, seeing Carnyland is just it's entertaining, but it's also mildly distracting. It's not pro wrestling. The offerings that Carnyland has brought with it, like the what's causing Aldis, tops some of the best offerings the NWA's had to offer since this pandemic. The Eli Drake show, perfect. I'm enjoying it tremendously, and I know some of you aren't, and that's okay. That's okay. But there's also still what's inside the National Wrestling Alliance, inside the NWA, which if you guys didn't see the last episode with David Marquez and Trevor Murdoch, you're really missing out. They did some great stories. It was supposed to be a video, but you could tell some editing issues happened. The video didn't happen. It was mostly audio, but you could hear like David Marquez describing things in detail, like you could see it, but you really can't. But Trevor Murdoch and Dave Marquez go on and on about the legacy of Harley Race. If you haven't seen that one, make a point to see that one. Out of all the things the NWA is offering, by far and away, that was probably my most favorite piece of content they put out in the last month. With that being said, I do love the NWA, and I do love what they're doing right now. I don't exactly love Carnyland, but hey, we could talk about Carnyland. We could talk about Allison Kay running for mayor. We could talk about Nick Aldis running for mayor. He's got Danny Deals with him. I mean, we could talk about just about anybody on the show. Zicky Dice, Esther Abertford or something like that. Sorry, I didn't have that written down. There's a whole slew of things we could talk about with the mayoral candidacy of the NWA, Aaron Stevens, and the Mongrovian democracy and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, like, I want wrestling. I want wrestling. I want to see more and more wrestling. And, until we get more and more wrestling, it's going to be just kind of like a hurry up and wait. Hurry up and wait till we can see more wrestling. So now, this is the part of the show where I'm going to read some of your comments, because you guys have been active. Len says Nick Aldis could defend the world title in virtual pro wrestling. Fire pro wrestling. He could defend it virtually. I think Len liked the idea of New Japan working with Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Robert Stinson says, yes, indeed. Without wrestling and baseball, life isn't the same. And I got to agree, man. Wholeheartedly, I have to agree, because I'm a huge fan of both. You can see most episodes I'm here, I'm wearing my Angels hat, my California Angels, the Angels of Anaheim, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, whatever you want to call them. We're probably not getting a season this year. And there's a good chance we're probably not going to get a lot of professional wrestling coming back. Len saying the audio is a bit choppy. I wonder why that is. This is the part of the show where I check to make sure that my Wi-Fi connection is still good. And I wonder what this is going to do. I hope we're still there. Now we're reconnecting. So if you guys are watching, somehow my network jumped onto the wrong internet source. And so I think we're still live. Are we live? Can anyone verify that for me? Man, I thought we were having a good episode too. Anyways, so again, what a fun week for pro wrestling fans. If you are if you've been following the interwebs, you'll know that New Japan Pro Wrestling just started their shows again on Monday. The WWE is still running their live events. They recently found out that a member of their NXT development is COVID-19 positive, which is really going to mess things up for them.
But I do see a lot of my friends in the chat room. I see Kokushi. Welcome aboard, man. I appreciate you being here. Len, Robert, thank you guys for tuning in. On the Instagram, let me grab that real quick. Let's see. Kerouac is here. Kerouac's my boy. Lamb's here. Lamb says David Marquez posted himself on social media, so I don't think he'll be saying that the CWFH crew filmed New Japan USA stuff. You know what, Lamb? Go check the game tape, which means go check the photos that were posted that are gone. They've been removed. Lamb says my YouTube struggles. I always have YouTube struggles. I really thought this week would be better. I took one phone off of the internet just so that it would be better, and it looks like it's not working the way I'd hoped. But that's okay, guys, because I'm going to upgrade my internets. But what do you guys want to talk about? What are you excited about? What's getting your engine revving? I will say that I watched a lot of the basically all of the Nick Aldis interview with Camille, and I felt like that was a really good piece. It kind of gave us some insight to Camille. My one and only story about Camille was at the NWA 70th anniversary show. I got to be a part-time chauffeur. I got to drive Paro and Peter Avalon. Who else was with me? Peter Avalon, Paro, and there was somebody else whose name I just can't remember right now. And we were I was shuffling people to and fro. We went to Applebee's in Nashville after the show, and with Nashville being it's kind of funny because if you go to downtown Nashville on Broadway, I mean, those restaurants, those bars are open until like 4 a.m. But where we were at, I guess they closed just after midnight. So we basically closed down. I think it was an Applebee's. Pretty sure it was Applebee's. And so I was in there with a lot of the production guys, with David Marquez, Joe Galley, Logan Chenoweth, Billy Trask. A lot of the guys that you might have heard their names, but you're not familiar with them. Walking into the dining room after us was Paro, along with Scorpio Sky and Camille and a few others. And at that point, nobody really knew who. I personally didn't know who Camille was, but she seemed like just the sweetest, nicest lady I've ever met. Well, one of them had that Southern charm. Very cool to me, although we didn't really interact that much. She was, you could tell she was having a good time hanging out with some friends, and it was mostly a fun night. But that's my only Camille story. The rest of my stories don't really involve Camille, believe it or not. So let's see more of your comments here on Instagram. Lamb says he's excited that New Japan is back in action. And he's also said that he doesn't think I'll get in trouble because Dave posted it everywhere anyway. Yeah, Lamb, the only problem with that is he took it down everywhere. So, I don't know. I'm not too worried about it, guys. I just, to me, that's awesome. That's stuff that I would talk about all day, every day if I could. And I think New Japan Pro Wrestling getting the New Japan USA has been trying to get launched for a while now. What people don't understand, awesome. What people don't understand about New Japan Pro Wrestling is this isn't an invention of the last year or 2 years. They've been working on this for some time. Long before they brought the whole New Japan and having these arena shows in the United States, they were working on trying to cement a legacy here in Southern California and the greater United States with the Inoki Dojo. And that was the plan. David Marquez shot the TV for New Japan USA, which featured talents like Samoa Joe, Adam Pearce, Togi Makabe. Am I saying that right? I'm so terrible with names, guys. I'm so terrible with names. Nosawa and Masada. Not that Masada, but the Japanese Masada. the Havana Pitbulls, Rocky Romero, Ricky Reyes, Heat, TJ Perkins, Daniel Bryan, CM Punk did commentary. I mean, this was a full-fledged show, and it was very, very good. I remember being in the audience for these shows and seeing Samoa Joe do his his power bomb to the STF combo on Maccabi when he was still Ring of Honor World Champion. If you ever see that footage, which I don't think you'll see it really anywhere, I popped so hard for that. I loved seeing that happen live. And, they were trying to get something situated way back then. People don't know this, but Nakamura was training at the Inoki Dojo back in those days. Yeah, Nakamura, Carl Anderson, Fergal Devitt, yeah, all those guys. So, excuse me. I guess what I'm trying to say is that New Japan has been trying to get into this market for some time. And for one, I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see what's going to happen next. We know that they did their shows in Long Beach, California, San Francisco. They were part of the G1 event in New York with Ring of Honor. And they were running a bunch of house shows and smaller arena shows all across the country. But getting their own brand, a separate brand from actual New Japan Pro Wrestling, is something they've been working on. So to see that take foot in 2020 during the middle of a pandemic, that's pretty crazy. But, I mean, again, Carl Fredericks, Jeff Cobb, Brody King, Tyler Bateman. I mean, it's just exciting, guys. So, excuse me. Whew. So more of your comments. Okay. So Len says, excited about New Japan coming back. Loving the anthology series that MLW has been doing. Yeah. I haven't really been keeping up with MLW, but I'm glad that they're taking advantage of the library that they have and trying to use it as much as they can. The audio is not great, so I apologize in advance. So I can't really do much about that audio right here and now, but I'll work on it for the next episode. We're about running out of time anyways. Well, I mean, not running out of time, but we're about ready to wrap up the show. Again, this is a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com. If you enjoy the show that you're watching right now, please give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. And, I'm not sure what they mean when they say ring the bell, but you can ring my bell. Also, we do a live stream on Instagram as well. So if you guys are watching on Instagram, again, I appreciate you being there. Give us a thumbs up and like that video. Share it if you'd like. That would help me out too. Jeff Johnson says that looking forward to Sabre Jr. versus Ibushi and the New Japan Cup. Yeah, man. I mean, Ibushi is like a weapon. He's just deadly, and he takes so much punishment. And Zack Sabre Jr. is one of these guys who's found a way to just really just like the definition of mat technician to me used to be Bret Hart when I was growing up. I now believe that that term should only be used for Zack Sabre Jr. with his ability in the ring to just make things happen. My audio may have COVID-19. I have not been tested yet, but I've also been socially distancing myself. And, I haven't had any symptoms either, so we'll see. Speaking of Twitter, you can follow us on Twitter at The Alliance Blog. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Tumblr, Twitch, and yes, YouTube, all at The Alliance Blog. We do appreciate you guys following us. Do encourage each and every one of you, and Robert agrees with me, I do encourage each and every one of you to get ready to go to Carnyland. Make sure that you buckle in and, again, have your favorite snack and drink readily available. My name is Jay Cal. This is a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information. And guys, I missed you the last 2 weeks. It's really great to see you all here again in the chat room. We're doing the live show. I really appreciate it. And I also want to make sure that I can't stress this enough. There's so much content out today. There's so many people who are trying to produce quality content. Give them all a chance. But after you do that, make sure you visit my guys at This Is the NWA Podcast, because Dr. Robert Stinson, Will Daly, and your boy Gary Horn do a terrific job of breaking down what's going on with the National Wrestling Alliance, and it's usually a lot of fun too. I also want to make sure that I give my shout-outs to NWA Unfiltered. They are a group on Facebook who are all like-minded in the National Wrestling Alliance. They like to talk NWA past, present, and future. You guys are, if you're on Facebook, make sure you give them a follow. Let them know that your boy Jay Cal sent you. And, well, that's going to do it for us now. Wait, I see there's something else. There's another comment coming in. Don't forget. Yes, Lamb, thank you. Also, if you like listening to this podcast and not so much looking at my face or watching video, we usually have the podcast up about a few days later on Anchor.fm. You could also find us on Spotify. Just search The Alliance Blog, and you could probably find us in either one of those locations, because, again, we are all about trying to service the needs of our fans, not our fans, the fans of the NWA. And if you'd rather hear this voice than look at this face, I don't blame you. But that's going to do it for us, guys. Again, make sure you get your tickets punched to Carnyland. I hope you liked the show today. I tried something a little bit different, and we'll keep tweaking it and try to get something to work a little bit better. But until next time, I'll see you guys. Wait. I'll see you guys at the matches.